I'm stuck. I'm stuck in a rut. I work in a production furniture shop, building custom designs. But at the end of the day, there are only 32 designs we make. And for the last 6 months, I've been building just one of them, over and over. It's this chest of drawers, nightstand thing, whatever you call it, it's the same piece. Every order ends up on my bench, 3 to 5 at a time, with only minor variations. At this point, I've made 134 of them. It's like Groundhog Day, and the monotony is starting to wear me down. Repetition is a strange thing. At first, it can be rewarding. It lets you perfect the design, refine the process, and push the construction of it all to a higher standard. It makes me think of quotes like, "Practice makes perfect," or "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. But after months of making nothing else, I start thinking of other, less optimistic quotes. "Too much practice can dull the edge of inspiration," or "Repetition is the death of art." That last one stings a bit. And the truth is, my whole life feels like routine. I go to work from 9 to 5, I go home and watch TV, I go golfing on Sundays, and then I do it all over again. So I tried breaking out of the rut by making something I'd never made before, a hand plane. I used a book on how to build a Krenov-style plane and got hooked. You start with a blank block of wood, and by the end, you've created a tool that you can use with joy. Before long, I was addicted, making hand plane after hand plane. Ironically, what started as a break from repetition just became another loop. So now, I go to work, I stay late and work on hand planes, I go home and watch TV, golf on Sundays. In these videos, I try and design a wooden piece for a person or a company that I admire. It has to be something that they truly use and cherish, designed to fit their personality and their aesthetic without taking up too much space or becoming a burden to accept. For this specific video, I've decided to make a piece for someone I've been watching on repeat for months. Ron Swanson, or rather Nick Offerman. You probably know the character, a government-hating government worker and a master craftsman. Offerman also happens to own a wood shop just a few miles from the one I work at in Los Angeles. For a master craftsman like Nick Offerman, the challenge of making a gift becomes even more difficult. What could I make him that he can't already make himself? In the end, I thought it might be fitting to give him, from my world of repetition, a gift of repetition. I'm going to build Nick a hand plane. For the body, I chose black and white ebony. It has this quality about it that mirrors his dual nature, craftsman and performer, stoic yet goofy. A wood often described as a gorgeous troublemaker who will warp if you look at it wrong. To balance that instability, I use bacote, a much more stable species, for the sole. The making of this hand plane begins simply with laminating the sole to the body of the plane. I like to let this glue-up cure for at least 24 hours before moving on. I decided to go with a 1-inch Hawk assembly blade for this plane. This will allow it to be more manageable in the hands. Not ideal for flattening large surfaces, but great for everyday small tasks. Once cured, I bring the laminated stock to the bandsaw to remove the cheeks. I'll bring them to final thickness on the planer, removing any snipe with a hand plane. Now I can cut out the 45-degree bed where the blade will live, and then the front block or throat section. I like to add a curve to the front block to increase finger clearance and so shavings don't collect too quickly or get easily stuck. After getting the bed to 45 degrees and perfectly flat, I use a router to make a groove for the screw since my blade assembly includes a chip breaker. Chip breakers add rigidity to the plane iron, reducing blade chatter but also preventing tear out. To keep all my parts aligned, I insert 1/4-inch dowels into the far corners of the stock. These dowels act as registration pins, holding the parts in position while I mark and drill for the crosspin, and will later act as an alignment aid during glue-up. Once the plane is assembled, the dowels will get cut off. In the middle of this project about repetition, I'm actually making some pretty big changes in my life. After 6 years in Los Angeles, I'm moving to the East Coast, to New England. And so this hand plane will be the last thing that I make in LA. And even though I've made it so many times before, this last one takes on a little bit more meaning, a sweetness. After drilling for the crosspin, I cut the shoulders on the saw and then turn the coaxial tenons on the lathe. This is one of the more challenging parts of the build. Requires a bit of patience and extra focus to get the perfect fit for the shoulders and a tight fit for the tenons. After the plane is all glued up, the real fun can begin. I cut the plane to size and then begin shaping the rest of the body. I drew a ton of inspiration from Adrian Ferrazzutti's designs and implemented these facets or chamfers on the front and back of the plane. I love the shape and contour they bring to the final piece. Now that I've opened the throat, all that's left is to shape and hone the wedge, then flatten the plane one final time before applying the finish. I stumbled upon this AMA that Offerman did like 13 years ago, and one of the questions stood out. The question was, do you prefer hand tools or power tools? And Offerman said, it depends on the job. I prefer a job that requires hand tools so I can hear the music. Now, he may have literally meant the music playing in his shop, but I prefer to hear it as something a little more than that. A nod to the rhythm and the notes created by hand tools in an otherwise silent environment. And so as far as gift giving goes, in this case, I feel like I made the right gift. Change has always been really hard for me. I basically don't like it. I really struggle with breaks in routine and sometimes wonder if I'm actually in love with the repetition of life, that I just want things to stay exactly the same. But I know that's not true. As they say, a ship is safe in the harbor, but that's not what ships are for. I trust that within change, there's chance, a chance encounter or the opportunity for something new. So I'm taking a leap of faith to let things unfold. However unsettled I am now, I trust that doors are opening for me, even if I can't quite see them. I've reached out to Nick, but I don't think I'll be able to get him the hand plane in the end. This hand plane is more than just a gift for Ron Swanson. It's a reminder to myself that even in routine, even in uncertainty, there's room for growth, skill, and something new to emerge. I don't know exactly what that all looks like, but I trust that it's true for me and that it's true for all of us.